It was the first time my parents had heard my voice in 10 years, and it was an amazing experience. After the performance, all the ambassadors came and shook my hand, and watching the look on my parents' face and how proud they were, it was a moment that is irreplaceable for me.
The Iranian opera singer Ramtin Ghazavi. You're listening to Outlook from the BBC World Service, the home of extraordinary personal stories from around the world. I'm Matthew Bannister. Now, children from some of South Africa's most deprived townships are having their lives transformed by learning to surf. It all happens on the Muizenberg beach in Cape Town, where an organisation called Waves for Change has set up shop. Our reporter Mohammed Ali has hit the beach to find out more.
It's a windy spring Saturday morning, and around 60 eager young children from the nearby Khayelitsha township, one of Cape Town's most impoverished areas, are ready to take their surfboards into the water. The children all come from deprived backgrounds, some from broken homes, while others had been using drugs as members of the township's gangs. But using the idea of surfing as a form of therapy, these children's lives have taken a positive turn, thanks to the work of an organisation called Waves for Change, which was started by a 33-year-old Englishman, Tim Coniver, who first came to South Africa 5 years ago to work on a vineyard.
When I was a surfer from the UK, so I used to surf on the weekends down at Muizenberg Beach and realised there wasn't much integration in that community, or in that society, I suppose. The beach was quite an exclusive area. So I started taking kids from the vineyard, Clinton Centre, where I was working, down to the beach, and we just literally just go and surf. And then over time, we had some community members who came and volunteered, and they obviously took over the program. They spoke the language, they knew the culture, and I just started observing what was going on. And the community coaches would come to me the whole time, saying kids were disclosing all kinds of personal information to them and needed various different types of social assistance that we just couldn't find anywhere because the social infrastructure here is quite stretched.
How difficult is it to teach somebody who perhaps may have an aversion to the water to actually be confident enough to stand on a board and ride away?
When you're young, you like anything, it's not as intimidating as we might make it sound as adults. So a lot of the kids actually, they jump on the board, they get smashed by the shore break, they get straight back up again, and within 2 or 3 days they're up and riding. The key part of it, obviously, if they enjoy their first experience in the water, they'll come back. So if you do have a small minority of the kids that come that are very, very afraid, that's the number one support. But again, like I say, most of the kids that come here, they're not afraid of challenges. They live in a very challenging environment, so the water to them is the least of their worries.
One of the young people who has come through the program is Bongani in Ndlovu. When he first met Coniver, he didn't even know how to swim. But 4 years later, Bongani has gone on to become one of the first coaches ever from his community.
It hasn't been easy initially because basically when you looked at surfing you couldn't find a black face to relate to, because most of the kids that we teach how to surf are from Masiphumelele, and it's a black African township. So it makes you feel more comfortable when there's people of your own skin color who speak the same language as you, who you can relate to and who are actually your role model. So initially we had none of those, but now it's been 4 years since Waves for Change has started, and there are actually young surfers from those townships who are surfing on a professional stage, and actually they are now the role models for other young African students to actually follow on their footsteps.
As for himself, Bongani says learning to surf was a huge challenge.
So it takes a lot of patience going out there onto the waves on a regular basis, and also just being eager to learn and not being faced by the different challenges, because it's quite scary, like falling as you try to surf and being basically underwater for longer than you thought you were going to be under, but also being brave enough to just go out there and try it again. When it comes to learning the board, it took me about 2 months, and it was an average of 3 times a week going out there and learning how to surf under different conditions. It builds a lot of confidence. The more you do it, the better you get.
Well, there's about 50 or 60 very enthusiastic young men just about ready to get into the water. They're all dressed in black wetsuits, and let me speak to some of them and find out what they like about this program and how they are enjoying it.
I like surfing because surfing teaches us how to swim. The first wave I am catching, I didn't know it's myself catching that wave. I enjoy to catch waves. Surfing changed my life. I like to ride the waves.
While the obviously more experienced young surfers are out in the sea catching waves, the learner ones are away to my left in the tidal pool where they are getting used to the surfboard and getting used to the water.
My name is Kanye Samuelisa. I'm a surf instructor here in Monobisi Beach at Waves for Change. I'm also a mentor to the kids of Khayelitsha. Before I teach the kids to surf, I first introduce the kids to the dangers of the beach and train the kids physically and show them the parts of the boards, how to stand on the board.
How long does it all take before somebody can actually stand on a board in the water from the time they first come in?
Sometimes it takes 3 days, 4 days. For the person who's physically fit, it takes a day.
Football is by far the most popular sport in South Africa's townships. But Ngebesa says surfing has a special attraction for the youngsters.
Surfing, it's a unique sport here in Khayelitsha because we normally see it on TV. Some of them say it's for white people, but no, it's not. Tim brought surfing here in Khayelitsha at Waves for Change in Monobisi Beach, and most kids say that soccer, it's for everyone. Everyone can play soccer, but surfing, it's unique. Special ways in Khayelitsha, no one has surfed before. So they are proud of themselves.
Standing on the shore, watching how well the youngsters are able to ride the waves on their surfboards, how many of them are genuinely having fun in the sea, and how they are enjoying each other's company is a wonderful sight to behold, particularly if one thinks of how different life may have been for them if they didn't take up surfing.
Muhammad Ali on the beach in Cape Town with Waves for Change. Now, if our Iranian opera singer ever finds himself out of work, we might have found a job he could apply for, because Tallinn Airport in Estonia has just introduced a new style of security announcement. Instead of speaking, the announcements are performed by a team of 3 singers. The idea came from the organizer of Estonia's 2015 Year of Music. And Estonian singer and composer Kadri Burant was invited to take part.
The idea was to sing somehow in my kind of music genre, which is jazz something. And she also proposed the same idea to a folk artist and to a classical artist. I was expected to sing the ladies and gentlemen, this is a security announcement, in a jazzy version. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a security announcement. For security reasons, please never leave your luggage unattended. Unattended luggage will be removed by airport authorities. Maybe the text at first seems boring, but singers and artists have to go into every word. And when you start thinking about the ladies and the gentlemen, then you start thinking, who are the ladies and who are the gentlemen in this airport, first of all? And this is a security announcement, not just any kind of announcement. So this is something to listen to. So if you really go deep into every word, you might find this text pretty interesting. Lugupeetud reisijad, I'd be curious to stay on at first, the Estonian version for me seemed hard to work with the rhythm. But when I entered the studio too and started to sing, it kind of accidentally fell into place and it started to work. It was quite improvisatory, the whole action taking place at the studio. I just entered the studio for a few minutes and then I came out with this recording. So for me it was quite a short time to figure out a piece. So I just improvised.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a security announcement.
I especially liked the folk version of it because it haunted me for several days after I first listened to it. It became such a nice hit. I think it's a very good pop folk hit, this version of the security announcement with Estonian sitar.
Will be removed by airport authority. Ladies and gentlemen.
The Hendrik Üksvärav version was, I think, the most funniest because her music approach is very natural to present non-rhythmic text. So it sounds like a very natural thing to do. I hope that people do listen to it with more attention. At least that's the goal, to make them listen. And another goal is to break the routine. And if they notice that there even is something going on, I hope it's something that breaks their routine thought or at least help them.
Estonian musician Kadri Burat singing her way through the security announcements at Tallinn Airport. You also heard from jazz singer Mari Kalkoon and from tenor Hendrik Üksvärav. This is Outlook.
Every week here on the BBC World Service, we take an in-depth look at the most significant ideas, discoveries and trends in science.
Now what we have is the ability to make plastics, fibers, pharmaceuticals, which have completely revolutionized our world.
It sounds a bit like a cliche, but really we do know more of the face of the moon than we know about the deep sea.
From the smallest microbe to the furthest corner of space.
The solar wind creates waves in Mercury's magnetic field, like wind blowing over the ocean. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the magnetic ripples.
Experiencing new science through sound in this way is terrifically exciting.
Discovery at bbcworldservice.com/discovery.
Still to come in the second half of Outlook, the fearless park ranger from India who rescues animals from the most dangerous of places.
The well was about 60 feet deep and, the leopard was quite far away from us. So then we told our center to send a metal cage, and once the metal cage arrived, then, everybody was asking, but who's going to go down? So I said, I will go down.
Find out what happened to Rasila the leopard and the latest headlines.
BBC News with David Austin. The French authorities say that the former head of the governing body of World Athletics, Lamine Diack, has been placed under formal investigation on charges of corruption. Mr. Diack, who left office in August, is suspected of accepting money in return for covering up doping cases. The Romanian Prime Minister Victor Ponta had announced his resignation following a mass demonstration over a nightclub fire on Friday that killed more than 30 people. Public anger has been fueled by allegations that corruption led to safety regulations at the nightclub being ignored. The U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter has called for an end to militarization in disputed areas of the South China Sea. Mr. Carter was speaking in Kuala Lumpur after a meeting there of Asia-Pacific countries. The Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has told the BBC that the country is on the path to democracy, but to develop more political freedom will take time. President Sisi said it was unfair to compare his country's record on democracy to that of European nations. The Islamic State group has again insisted that its militants brought down the Russian plane that crashed on Saturday in the Sinai Peninsula with the loss of 224 lives. In an audio statement, IS said the operation coincided with the first anniversary of the Pledge of Allegiance by its Egyptian affiliate. The president of the Maldives has declared a state of emergency, giving sweeping powers to security forces to arrest suspects. The move comes ahead of a planned anti-government rally. Jeb Bush, the US presidential hopeful, has apologized to the people of France for making fun of their working week during a heated Republican debate last week. He told Time magazine that when he criticized his rival Marco Rubio for only showing up for a French work week, it was aimed at highlighting Mr. Rubio's poor sense of tendency. Those are the latest stories from BBC.
You're with Outlook for the BBC. I'm Matthew Bannister. Coming up in this half hour, how the attempted murder of the reggae singer Bob Marley forms the backdrop for a prize-winning new novel. That's coming later. But now, in the Indian state of Gujarat, there's an all-women unit of forest rangers with a remarkable record in animal rescues. 627 animals were saved last year, including wounded lions, rogue monkeys, pythons and leopards. One of the first recruits to the unit was Rasila Vadha, who patrols the vast Gir National Park on foot and by motorbike. She told me she joined the unit almost by accident.
It was in 2007. I had taken my brother to get him a job in the forest department. My brother had to take a test for physical fitness. I asked him to take it, but he said that he couldn't do it. So since I was there, I thought, okay, I will try and maybe I will get selected. So I tried and I got through.
What sort of physical fitness test did you have to pass?
Long jump hota hai, high jump hota hai. In the physical fitness test, we are made to run around the ground. Then we have to do long jump. We have to do a high jump. And then we also have to get a proper medical checkup done. Our eyes are tested, our height's checked, our weight is taken. Then they take you for a 2-hour walk through the forest. Then you have to go for a written test where they test you for English, mathematics and science. And then there's an oral exam which you have to give. And if you qualify in all these exams, then you have to go for a 14-kilometer walk, which you have to complete in 4 hours. And it's only after that you are selected.
That sounds very challenging. Was your brother embarrassed that he backed out and you were successful?
Yes, my brother now understands the importance of my job. Government jobs are very important, and he realizes that, if he had taken part in the competition that day and if he'd been selected, then he would have also got the job, and he would have also had much government job. The thing is that, he's tried later on, but he's never managed to qualify. He's never managed to get through.
You're part of an all-woman team in the Gir National Park. I wonder whether women have some strengths that they bring to the job that men don't have.
Men can also do it, but women are more dedicated. Once you give a job to a woman, she takes full responsibility for it, and she does a really good job. I think women are more dedicated, more responsible.
Well, just tell us a little bit more then about the area where you work, the Gir National Park. What sort of a place is it?
Gir is a dry forest area. It's spread over more than 1,400 square kilometers. And we've got lots of animals here. We've got lions, we've got leopards, jackals, we've got rusted spotty cats, and we've also got crocodiles, spotted deer, and we have 39 varieties of reptiles, 39 different types of snakes, and more than 300 types of birds. So it's very, very rich in flora and fauna.
And I gather that you've been involved in hundreds of animal rescues. What sort of problems have the animals got into that they've needed your help?
We go to rescue lions when they get injured sometimes. Sometimes they fight over food, 2 lions, so we go to treat them. We also have cases where cubs are abandoned by lionesses, so we have to go and make sure that they are safe. Then sometimes we also have leopards or lions who come into the public area. We have leopards when they get into people's homes, so we have to go and rescue them and take them out. Sometimes we also have crocodiles or pythons who come into the public area, and then because people are scared of them, we have to, make sure that they are taken out safely. We have to rescue them.
It must be quite risky for you. I gather there was one time when you had to rescue a leopard that had fallen down a well. Can you tell me about that?
We got this case of a leopard. This was about 15-20 kilometers from our center, and we heard that it has fallen into a well. This was basically a new well which was being dug out, and the leopard was chasing a civet cat, and the civet cat ran and fell into the well, and the leopard chasing it also fell into the well. We got the information in the afternoon. This was in March 2013. So we went there and we tried to get it out first with a rope, and we tried that 3 times, but it was unsuccessful. So we decided to tranquilize it. We thought that okay, we'll be able to tranquilize it and then we'll be able to take it out. Because the leopard was actually cutting the rope with its teeth. But every time we tried to tranquilize it, we couldn't hit it because the well was about 60 feet deep, and the leopard was quite far away from us. So then we told our center to send a metal cage, and once the metal cage arrived, then everybody was asking, who's going to go down? So I went straight and I got into the cage and I went down and I managed to tranquilize it, and 15 minutes later I felt the leopard's pulse, and then I realized that okay, it has been tranquilized. So then we brought it out.
You must have been very frightened because that leopard was in a distressed and angry state. It could have been very dangerous for you, presumably, going down in that cage.
This was actually the first time I was doing something like that, so obviously I was scared. But then, I said, okay, I have to build some courage and I have to go down. So I went down. Because I was new, some of my colleagues actually challenged me because they thought that, okay, she's new, she will be afraid, and, but then I always take up a challenge. So I just went down.
I'm just thinking about what it must be like when you get a call to say that a crocodile has entered somebody's house. How do you prepare to deal with that situation, and what do you do with the frightened people who are living in the house?
We generally respond in 15-20 minutes the moment we get a call for rescue. When we hear that there's a crocodile in somebody's house, we go to their homes and people know that we've come to help them out, we've come to rescue the crocodile. We move them out of the house to a safer place, and then how we tame crocodiles is we cover their eyes with a cloth or something so that they can't see, and then when one person comes from the front and 3 people take position in the back, and then we tie it up with rope and we take it out, and then we go and release it in some water bodies in the forest.
It does sound very simple, but frankly, I wouldn't like to be the one putting the cloth over the crocodile's eyes. They have very big mouths and very sharp teeth.
When a crocodile is big, then we use a stick to cover its eyes. We throw the cloth with a big stick. But if it's a small crocodile, then we just move close enough to it and cover its eyes to be able to capture it.
Now, the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, has paid tribute to your work, and he described you as a gutsy girl who fearlessly walks amid a pride of wild lions. Do you really go out and walk into a pride of lions just like that?
Obviously, we are not lying when we say that we walk amongst the lions. But lions are a very different kind of animal. A lion doesn't attack you just like that. the only time they would hurt somebody is if you go very close to them, if they are mating, or if there's a lioness with hugs, or if they are eating and they feel threatened. They think that you've crossed, what they perceive to be their boundary. And even then, it would not just attack you like that. It would always warn you. It moves its ears. It will, make noises. So it basically gives you enough warning.
I wonder if you could tell me what gives you the most satisfaction in your job. What are you happiest about doing?
When we go for rescue, and if the rescue is perfect, then it's a matter of great satisfaction for me. Also, what I love is when I find cubs which are separated from their mother, and then when I reunite them, I really like it.
Rusty Lovato, one of the fearless rangers of Gir National Park, and you can see a photo of her with the leopard she rescued from the well on our Facebook page. Just search Facebook for BBC Outlook. Now, the latest novel by the Jamaican writer Marlon James is called A Brief History of 7 Killings. It tells the story of the attempted murder of the reggae star Bob Marley in 1976, when Marlon himself was still a child. The author is the first Jamaican to win the internationally famous Man Booker Prize for the book. The BBC's John Wilson asked Marlon James whether, as a boy, he was aware of the events he's now written about.
I was very aware of them. I didn't understand them. I cared about being told by my mother not to go to certain areas because they're going to be particularly violent that week.
That week, not generally.
That week. So it's pretty good. Just criminal intelligence.
Both your parents work for the police.
They're both for police. My dad quit pretty early, though, and became a lawyer. Things that I was aware of. I was aware of the execution of the other than that, my houses it shouldn't go and stealing people's fruits. But Jamaica's a small country. It's not like you can keep things from anybody. And if you were in the 70s, it really didn't matter where you were participating in the 70s. You're participating in the political culture. I'm just realizing how much I was participating in the Cold War. And there's a scene in it, in the book, where one of the characters, Josie Wills, gets this democracy is lost. Let's see. Page 6 and 7. See on page 6, this is the world in a democracy. See? People in the park. Children running down the ice cream truck. Look, see that guy reading a newspaper? And watch that chick. Hot, right? Oh yeah, look at the tall buildings. That's because of progress. Markets, freedom. That's progress. And if anybody in this picture doesn't like what's going on, they can say so. I remember when I got that.
That existed?
It existed.
Right. It was a way of teaching kids about America.
Yeah, and to be afraid of communism. So I was fully immersed in the propaganda wars of the 70s because they start young.
Well, the CIA were properly scared. They'd seen what happened in Cuba, and Marley was revolutionary. What do you agree?
Marley was a very polarizing figure. We talk about the sufferers in Jamaica, the Kingston, the poor people in the ghetto. He spoke for them, and he was already becoming an icon in that regard. The Jamaican middle class were pretty mixed, ranging from just outrightly despising him to grudgingly admitting that he's too big to ignore. But Marley was also a Rastafarian. And Rastafarianism, even up to the mid-70s, was really looked down upon, if not outright condemned. You could still be detained or beaten by the police just for being a Rastafarian. A lot of rich kids would stop growing their hair. It was their rebellion against their parents. It was our rock and roll, in a way. And in the midst of this comes Marley, who becomes this huge superstar. To us, he's kind of a pop figure. To the rest of the world, he's a revolutionary.
Yeah.
And the feelings are always pretty mixed. The universal love for him happened after his death. I guess with any revolutionary, you're going to have people who love you, people who hate you, because you're speaking about things sometimes people don't want to hear.
And also because it's very hard to know why the assassination attempt. I mean, still to this day.
Right.
And that's one of the things that you explore in the book. Why was he assassinated? Who did it? The people went on the run. Do you think there was a single moment which determined his fate?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, because if there is a single moment that sort of disproves at least half of the theories, it's like asking if there's a single moment that doomed Kennedy. I think the one thing they all have in common is that Marley had broken through to the U.S. top 10. He was officially a superstar and officially he was just certainly was
and I think it's really good. The suggestion that is his supposed untouchability, which leads to so many people, and they are kids, wanting to have a go, because it proves their own sense of worth, their own status. If you can get to Marley, you're the big
right. The thing about Marley as well is that there's so many people in the ghetto who are exactly like him, but not a lot transcended it.
And it's a reminder of the complicated nature of Jamaican history and culture. I mean, the fact that it's called A Brief History of 7 Killings. In fact, there are far more than 7 killings. And it's
not brief.
And it's not brief. And it's sprawling, and the structure and the way that you give alternate chapters, or the characters, the protagonists take turns, and you give them their voices. And they are talking a huge range of voices. You have the CIA operative, you have the American Rolling Stone journalist, you have a lot of patois in there as well. Right. In terms of, a kind of a juggling act that you're having to perform, and it's literally ventriloquism in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's I had to stop thinking as a fiction writer and almost started to think more as if I was writing a screenplay. So I actually had charts up with different characters. Without charts, I'd start. It's very well structured out, and I'm very big on plot. I like to know the architecture of my story, even though I usually don't follow it. And also recognizing that in a lot of ways, it's the nuances that distinguish characters. Because when you get to like 76 characters, you try anything to distinguish them.
We got the cast at the beginning of the book. There's 76 characters. Again, there are more than 76 people in the book. Far more. Yeah. You had to keep charts on your war room writing your book 4 years to write researching. Now that's not something you normally get that kind of credit. But you need it. You got verses, you got money, and people to do the research for you.
But they're mostly students, so they got extra credit. This kind of story is demanding so much information, and sometimes it's not even the big things. Sometimes it's would I be able to get Tide dishwashing fluid in Jamaica and such? When was Uncle Ben's rise? If it was the early 70s, it means all the barrels that came to Jamaica were being shipped from the UK, not the US. Things like that.
That's a good focus. So that sense of shift of identity, that is. Because it is about identity. Yeah. It's about language as well. You go from that kind of juggling out. In terms of the patois, is that something that you have a Jamaican accent? Are you very familiar with that music?
Well, there's things around, but that was because not everybody speaks certainly if you're in the 70s, you still had a very sort of British colonial approach to English. It's almost Victorian. It's not even 20th century British. The Jamaican accent, the patois is what you speak in the street, so you're always sort of code switching. And I get flack for it. They'll go, aren't you an English teacher? Why are you writing in patois?
You talk about your education there, being Victorian. There is a Dickensian quality to this story as well.
I'm a still big believer in the Dickens creed, make them laugh, make them cry, make them wait. I'm the person who freely admits to watching soap operas. I love cliffhangers, I love tension. Melodrama is great. Opera couldn't exist without it.
Jamaican writer Marlon James was speaking to John Wilson. Well, time now for Witness, and today we go back to November 1975, when King Hassan of Morocco sent hundreds of thousands of his people into the desert coast of Spanish Sahara to claim the territory from Madrid. Simon Watts has been speaking to a Moroccan journalist who was on the Green March.
It's November 1975. Following an appeal from King Hassan II, volunteers from every province in Morocco gather on the border of a disputed region in the Sahara Desert.
Chaque volontaire portait un coron un drapeau, des photos du roi.
Each volunteer carried a Quran and a flag and a photo of the king. We thought we were going to get back a territory of Islam that was under foreign occupation.
Moroccan TV journalist Sadek Manino.
C'est la plus grande opération logistique de l'histoire du Maroc.
It was the biggest logistical operation in the history of Morocco. 350,000 volunteers went by train, lorry and bus to the rallying point at Tafaya.
Then, on the 6th of November, the king gave the order to begin what he called the Green March. Green because that's the traditional colour of Islam.
It's 10:30 in the morning. I'm on the border, and the first delegation of marchers, all carrying the red Moroccan flag, are marching towards the border line. A heavy sandstorm is blowing here. It's a blinding morning on this desert, and there's tracks shouting, Sahara, Sahara is for Morocco.
Je travaillais avec une seule caméra. J'étais avec lui sur une Jeep.
I was with my cameraman on my Jeep, and we were on the first vehicle to cross the border.
Je voyais cette vague humaine.
I saw a tide of people advancing. I saw those determined faces advancing. And what was I seeing? The extraordinary atmosphere, the fervor. I let myself go and started crying and weeping.
Spain had first occupied this desert coast at the end of the 19th century, namely the Spanish Sahara. The land was barren, inhabited by nomads, but it did offer access to the Atlantic and to phosphate mines. By 1975, though, it was clear that Spanish rule was ending, and the two main regions